So what I want to do is share a clip with you from a recent conversation that I had with one of our Brand Lab Collective clients, and what we were talking about was their competition, and not necessarily the direct competition. It's not those folks that have similar products or services than them that are trying to sell directly against them. But we were mainly having a conversation around like what is that indirect competition, and the point that we were making here is like there's so much noise. There's so much noise out in the marketplace right now. How do you stand apart? How do you use your brand to separate yourself not only from your direct competition, but the indirect, all of the noise that's out there? One of the points that we make in the talk, and I'll share the clip here in a minute, is Reed Hastings from Netflix. Like, they spend an exorbitant amount of time trying to keep people on the platform. And in one of his talks, we think it was to shareholders or something, I don't know, I can't quite remember. But he made the point in saying that like our biggest competition, our biggest competitor right now is sleep. And so everything that we do needs to be to get people to stay on the platform for one more show. Just get them to stay on the platform a little bit longer. So anyway, I don't want to give everything away, but what I do want to do is share that clip with you. So here it is. There are so many, like, you may think you know what your competition is from a business standpoint. You're right. Like you definitely have people within the same space that are selling similar products. It's like, but that's not your real competition. Your real competition is the next thing on TikTok. It's like those algorithms have gotten so good at diverting our attention away from things that we as marketers want to sell people. Is like you really have to wake up and understand that like we're asking for just a little bit of people's time, and that time is really precious. And so everything that we put out there has to be so interesting or answer to be the solve to like a very specific pain point to get them to even pay attention. And then when they do, you got to get them to take some kind of an action. And I really took that one to heart. And then he's like, Reed Hastings at Netflix was talking about this to shareholders one day, and he goes, "You know who our biggest competition is?" I kind of asked the rhetorical question. He goes, "The biggest competition that we have right now is sleep. Sleep." He's like, we everything that we're doing, all of the thumbnails that we're putting up there, the little tracker or the little next episode thing, is going to start in 10 seconds. Like all of that stuff is to combat people from turning off Netflix and
Yeah.
going to sleep or eating dinner or something else. And, I think about that from a practical standpoint. It's like Netflix is a huge company. I mean, they've got hundreds and hundreds of people just working on trying to steal eyeballs away from my advertising. So it's like, what can I do to get in front of these people? And for me, that's where the brand strategy comes in. Because if we're paying attention to what we were talking about before, wants, needs, fears, pain of our ICP, we're connecting on a very emotional level to that, positioning ourselves as the solve to that pain, as the avenue to get to what they want, or at least a step in that process to get to what they want. Then we're gonna be successful. But we have to like really have to dial in on all of this stuff and get a very compelling story out there that's going to compete with the Netflix of the world. And that was a really sobering thing. It's like, oh man, I'm dealing with TikTok as a competition. I'm dealing with Netflix. I'm dealing with um, Facebook. You name it,
And everything is automated.
and everything's automated. And so there's ways, right? Like it's not all doom and gloom. Like we can do it. It's just putting the right information out there at the right time and getting it in front of the right people over a long period of time. If we're working the strategy from a solid foundation, right, then we're going to be able to dial in what that messaging is. And so you kind of start broad, which is why we always start with that research and discovery. And then we work our way in and we start to define and define and define. And then we have to at some point put the messaging out there into the market, hear voice the customer, and then go through that process again. And then the more reps that we get, the more times that we do that, the better our messaging is going to become. The more that we're going to stand out in the market, our people, the more that we're going to be able to um, combat the Netflix of the world. So it's really important, and I hope you guys took away from that clip that it's really important to, not only study your direct competition, but also like get to know the indirect competition that's out there. Recognize the fact that there's so much noise out in the marketplace. There's so many things that are diverting people's attention that we have to make our content that much better. But more importantly, we have to make our content that much more specific to what our prospective clients are going through. What are those pain points that they're experiencing? What are their frustrations? What are their, what are their greatest fears? And also like, what are their aspirations? Where do they hope to go? And we can do that through brand. And it's one of those really cool things that when we study the competition, indirect and direct competition, and when we study and create our ideal client profile, we know how to talk to them in a way that's going to get them to pay attention. We know how to talk to them in a way where they feel like, hey, these people are, this is talking directly to me right now where I'm at. And I'm going to pay attention to this. And hopefully, if we do our job right within the brand foundation process, if we do our job right, we're getting them to take some kind of an action, pick up the phone, give you a call, go to the store, buy your product, whatever that is. But it has to start with really having a deep understanding of recognizing that direct and indirect competition, what they're saying out in the marketplace, understanding our ideal client profile, and then understanding our strengths and being able to link everything together so that we are constantly making ourselves different from the alternatives. And that's really the goal. Like for all of branding, if you take away one thing, if you can do one thing today, the one thing that I want you to do is stand out from the alternatives. Make yourself different. Get noticed, because it's the one thing that's going to help you move your business forward. And I really want that for you, and I want that for all small businesses. So look, the conversation that you heard, that clip that was from the Brand Lab Collective call, it's the community that we have. It's a paid community that we have here at Wit and Craft. And we get a group of people. It's a small group of people together every week on Thursdays. If you're interested in conversations like this, if you're interested in building your brand, click the link that's in the description, and I'll give you every bit of information that you need to know about joining up and joining those conversations. And I hope to see you there.